Please welcome to the stage Lisa Miller, domestic correspondent at the New York Times, and Jameela Jamil, actress, host, and activist.
Keep my vagina away.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Many of you know her as the name-dropping society princess, Tahani, from The Good Place. Can you all hear me okay?
I can barely hear you.
I know, it's weird.
Could
Hello?
we have the volume put up a
More
little?
mic?
We must be heard.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's better. She is also the founder of Move for Your Mind, an online and in-person community that advocates for equality and inclusivity for people in all different kinds of bodies. Correct? Mm-hmm. And she has a new comedy podcast launching on May 15th. It's called Wrong Turns, and it's about the messes people make in their lives.
Yeah, it's about getting away from the toxic positivity of needing every embarrassing thing that happens to us to have some great silver lining or great pearl of wisdom. Sometimes when life gives you lemons, you don't make lemonade, you just shirt your pants, you know? So that's just, it's a podcast that celebrates disaster without us needing to turn it into this great big deal.
And she was recently cast in Pyongyang Home Video, which is a new Ron Howard production, and that starts filming soon.
Yeah, my first serious role, so I'm going to ruin that film.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to start talking about your relationship with celebrity.
Oh, God.
I know, it's deep. In The Good Place, you played somebody who was sort of a celebrity name dropper. Mm-hmm. You knew that character knew a lot of celebrities. Mm-hmm. You became social media famous by calling out celebrities for their participation in thin culture, diet culture, Kardashians in particular. You yourself are a celebrity. You are on magazine covers. And my question is, and you call yourself an introvert.
Yeah.
And so my question is, what is the conversation you're having with yourself as you move among all of these different worlds?
Oh.
How do you talk to yourself about that?
It's a combination of sort of, is the general sound in my head, because I'm not born for this. But I would say the truth is that I don't take anything in my life terribly seriously, and I don't consider myself or anyone else like me to be very important. And, you know, my dad once told me that the likelihood is they're not going to take you out onto the street and shoot you, so you may as well just go for it. And so I live my life, well, one would hope, but I live my life accordingly. I live my life very much so as an adventure. I don't owe anyone success or perfection. I'm here a little bit like, I compare my career to crashing a wedding, where I'm just going to kiss who I can, steal some food, have some fun, and then be thrown out. And I think that is obviously how my career will eventually end. And until it does, I'm going to do what I like. And that's really on Hollywood.
While we're on the subject of party crashing,
Thanks.
why don't you tell the story about Al Pacino that I read in your recent...
Oh, Christ. Oh, God.
Substack.
Okay. Okay, so I went to my first ever Hollywood party. I went to, I was a guest of two people who were actually invited to the head of, I think, UTA's house. It was this huge mansion, and I walk in and everyone's an A-lister, and no one wants to talk to me, and they think I'm just a precocious server, and so people are treating me very badly because sorry.
I told you.
Oh, no, you just told me because of celebrities. Celebrities are terrible. And so then I realized I'm just going to go to the buffet and stress eat. And when I get there, it's the most amazing food you've ever seen. But, of course, no celebrities are actually eating it, so it's just going to go to waste. So I was like, well, I'm going to steal this food and take it home with me. Normally, I take sandwich bags to parties. I didn't on this occasion, so I decided to go up. That's not completely abnormal as a thing to do, or maybe I'm alone here. So I go into the buffet, I pile on 10 Wagyu steaks onto one plate, and Gwyneth Paltrow's in front of me, because of course she is, and she turns around and looks at me with this mountain of steak, and I just go, Atkins. And she goes, cool, because she's the patron saint of diet culture. And then I take a big napkin, like a cloth napkin, I pile it on top of the steaks. I kind of like putting them in a blanket, and I go out into the garden and I flip the plate and I bundle up all of the steaks, and now they're bleeding through. So I just have a bloody mound, which looks like I've stolen a hamster from and murdered a hamster in this house, and now have smuggled it out. So I decide to shove it in between my thighs in my crotch, not up my crotch, but in it, near it. And I waddle out of the party, and I'm in 6-inch heels. I'm already 5'11", so I'm about 6'4", 6'5". I'm waddling at speed towards the door. I don't see Al Pacino because he is a smaller man of a smaller stature. I knock him over. Al Pacino goes down. I don't help him up because he's had a good innings. You know, he's lived a long, fulfilled life. I instead notice the steaks have flown out of my crotch across the floor of the party. It's a white marble floor, so there's a long red blood streak going across, and I think, I need to get those steaks and I need to get out of here now before they call the police. So I leave Al Pacino on the ground, I run after the steaks, I bundle them under my arms like a quarterback, and then I run out of there. And as I'm leaving, I bump into a friend, and he's like, oh, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm just on my way out. And he goes, no, I'm going to this very exclusive party with Rihanna and Leonardo DiCaprio in a hotel room, and you should come with me. And I was like, you know, I've just been through a lot to get these steaks, and I need to get them home. And so I took my bloody mound home. I ate one, I put 9 in the freezer, and it's the best party I've been to in Hollywood to this date.
So, that was worth it, right?
It's quite a journey, yeah. I haven't been invited back.
On a more serious note,
God.
You represent and speak about and with a lot of, especially women, who don't consider themselves conventionally beautiful. And yet you are gorgeous in a very conventional way.
Wow, you should have seen me this morning. I look like Saddam Hussein at the end of his life.
How do you...
You know when he had the like little Coca-Cola and the Mars bar? And
how do you square that circle? How do you talk to yourself about that?
Talk to myself about what, though?
About the fact that, like, you're a very, very beautiful woman speaking on behalf of women who do not fit in the beautiful woman box.
I don't think I'm not trying to speak on the behalf of anyone, and I'm well aware of the fact that I now exist within the pretty privileged box. I think what's interesting about my experience is that 10 years ago, this same face wasn't the beauty standard, and Asians didn't have any representation, and we weren't on the covers of magazines, and we weren't playing the love interest or the sex symbol in anything. And people didn't want big lips. I was told by a very famous photographer at British Vogue that my lips looked like 2 slugs F-wording, because it was considered bad to have big lips. So it's interesting to me that now ethnic features have come into fashion. It's the same face, it's the same body. And so I've watched my face come in and my body come in and out of the fashion beauty standard. And what I do is try and utilize that to show what nonsense it all is and how fabricated it is, and how if you just get on one plane to another country, suddenly that beauty standard means nothing, and a completely different ideal is what women are supposed to look like. Essentially, it's all a scam to make sure that you always feel like an ugly little pig, and as soon as you meet the beauty standard, it will change again. So I'm here not to speak on behalf of anyone, but just to consistently beg people to ask questions about who makes money when we despise ourselves, who made the rules, who got to decide what is and what isn't beautiful. Men do not have the same taste in women, just like women do not have the same taste in men. We don't have monolithic tastes. And I think it is a disgrace and a waste of our lives to try to fit into these homogenized beauty standards that will always change. And it's kind of anthropological, the reason that we try to rush to meet these beauty standards. It's because we're worried we'll be left behind, but you cannot be left behind in a loop. It's a loop. It's a cycle that's just going to come around again and again and again. Heroin chic's back now. Soon, everyone will have access to whatever makes you super skinny. It'll change again to being curvy, and then it'll go back to being skinny. And at some point, I think because I'm 40 almost, next year I'll be 40, and I am finally at a point where I've been through the cycle enough times to know this is definitely a scam. I know it's a bit do-do-do-do-do-do-do, but it's real, and I'm not going to participate in it anymore because life is too short, and I deserve to enjoy the bloody life that I've been lucky enough to be given.
You've spoken a lot about your journey with eating disorders, and I'm wondering when you came to acceptance with your body, or if you have.
Oh, yeah, no, I have. I'm one of the very lucky people that recovered from anorexia. The reason I'm so vocal about it is because only 30% of people will ever get better. 30% of people will die or never recover. It is the #1 cause of death in any mental illness. It's very serious. We ascribe it to a sort of young white teenage issue, vanity issue, but it's not. It's a very serious, pervasive mental health disorder. I got better by using EMDR therapy, and also just out of spite. Recognizing who is making money from this, and that my hateful thoughts directly fund a small group of men who definitely don't meet the beauty standard. I've seen them. So why am I trying to scrap around for them when they can't be bothered to do something with that face or those balls or that body? So, and that's no disrespect to all men, just the small group of men who make money from that, And so out of spite, I decided I'm already in enough pain. I have my period every month. I'm already at enough risk. I have to, I have to get home safely every day. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And so as a woman, I'm already under enough stress. I'm good for incurring any more risk upon myself or any more discomfort. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm fed up with it. I'm not paying money to fund these, men's pockets anymore. So it's spite.
Was there a moment where you thought, I'm good, I'm good, and here's me, and here's what I'm wearing, and here's where I'm going, and here's what I'm doing?
No, I don't think it's normally a light bulb moment. I think it was just a slow progression of seeing what happens when you dare to eat. Does the world stop turning? When you gain that weight, when you have a flabby arm, when you're in this industry and you don't look perfect on the red carpet, when you realize that your friends, I gained 75 pounds, and my friends loved me all the same, and people still wanted to have sex with me, and I was like, wow, I had no idea. I was told if I gained 5 pounds, my life would be over, and no one would ever want me or love me, and people would be embarrassed to stand next to me. It's unbelievable the lies we tell ourselves and the lies that we are told. And so it was kind of microaggressions that got me to recovery. And then truly the way the beauty standard has swung back to heroin chic now has solidified my recovery, because I'm so horrified that once again women are expected to reduce, focus on reducing. I wonder why that is. Why every time we make progress in society are women expected to reduce and spend our time and our money and our focus and our energy on making ourselves smaller? It is always directly, it could be a coincidence, but every time conservatism rises in the world, so does the beauty standard become more fascistic, more reductive for women. So every time we make progress, it is a compliment that the beauty standard becomes so ridiculous, and we must reject it with everything we've got, because I think it's very suspicious that the beauty standard is for women to look frail. One thing is being strong, and learning how to defend yourself and being physically capable within your means, but frailty as a homogenized standard for women is deeply suspect.
You used to not be an exerciser, and now you're an exerciser.
Yes, sort of. I walk my dogs in the park. I'm not exactly, I'm not going to be in the Olympics or anything.
But you're interested now in strength and power, yes?
Yes. I'm very interested in the strength and power. I started a movement called Move for Your Mind, which tries to separate diet culture from exercise culture. Because am I mad, or has diet culture completely infused itself in exercise culture and kind of taken over? Which I find abysmal, given that exercise is pivotal to your mental health. I think it's something like 150 minutes of exercise a week is almost similar to the impacts of an SSRI, and it takes 15 minutes and 9 seconds of moving your body at all to to release endorphins that start to make you feel better. So it's vital, and you look at how much less we move and how much the increase of our mental health issues, you look at those gradients together, and there is a direct correlation. So I started Move for Your Mind as a safe space on the internet where you will not be told that you need a certain kind of outfit or a certain kind of body or a certain level of ability or to be a certain age in order to move your body. We're encouraging people to move just for the neurological and mental health benefits and for their long-term happiness. So little of what is targeted at women is about our happiness. It's all about rushing to meet an immediate beauty standard. And surely our lives are more valuable than that. And so that's what I'm advocating for, is just for women to feel happier. That's all I care about. And men, you know.
I did want to ask you about pleasure. Like, is your body a vehicle for pleasure?
Oh, yes.
Good. You are on the brink of turning 40. Mm-hmm. You have talked about ageism in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And you've taken a stand against airbrushing your image on cover shoots and such. Have you thought about how you want to look as an older person? How you will fend off ageism as it occurs to you?
I don't think you can fend off ageism because it's so prevalent in my industry, but I do think that I would rather be run out of town than be forced to fight time and gravity. I'm really not interested in that. I love older faces on men and on women. I love the look of wisdom. I love the look of experience. I love knowing someone laughed in their life. I think it's really sad the way that we have been encouraged to erase every sign of a life lived, especially in women. We shoot men in high definition in magazines. We make them look wrinklier than they actually are. And then with women, they make us look like bloody emojis. And I think that's really depressing. And I think that there's a do-do-do-do-do-do-do behind that as well, which is the fact that older women have the answers. Older women are smarter, they're happier, they're more chill, they understand better, they know what they want, they're better in bed. I'm only slightly better in bed at the moment, but, you know, I've still got time. And we have such a sense of self, and we might pass on the cheat code to the younger ones. Therein lies the idea of the crone, and we have demonized the idea of the crone and tried to erase the crone from society because the crone is dangerous, because the crone knows who she is and what she wants, and she might tell the others, the younger ones, and stop them from wasting so much time. So how sad that we have tried to eradicate the most beautiful part of a woman's life. Youth was terrible. I hated youth so much. If you're enjoying yours, well done. You are in the minority. And it's still going to get better and better and better. And so I long for my crone years. I'm trying to launch them prematurely. I don't want to erase the signs of time on my face. I have no interest in bowing down to such a pathetic and insecure patriarchy that would need me to. My value exists beyond my fertility and my, let's say, forkability, because I'm not allowed to say the F word again. And I urge women to look at their lives as sacred and to think about their 85-year-old selves. When I look at my 25-year-old self, I want to kick her in the crotch because she ruined my life, and my health is still bad because of the decisions that she made for the beauty standards. And so I want my 85-year-old self to look back at me now and go, oh wow, she was really protecting me. She really cared about me. She was excited for my arrival. She was not ashamed of me. She prepared her body for me. She protected me. I want my 85-year-old self to look back on me and feel pride. And so everything I do is for her now. And
sorry, what specific things are you doing for her right now? In terms of food and diet and sleep and sex and work and all of those things?
Eating good quality food, eating more food, prioritizing sleep, no longer living for the hustle culture, enjoying my life, having more adventures, having more meaningful times with my friends and my dog and my boyfriend, not in that order, sorry, I love him. Chasing more orgasms, you know, making more time for that in life. Generally just recognizing that pleasure is not a privilege, that is a right. It's a fundamental must to a life well lived. And so those are the ways in which I'm prepping for my older lady body.
Do you think the health and wellness community is too self-serious? I mean, your new project, Wrong Turns, is about the way people humiliate themselves. It's your friends talking with each other about how you've humiliated yourselves, right? That does sound funny. And the question is, like, why do we need a lighter turn in the health and wellness space?
I think it just doesn't need to become another job and another responsibility that we add on to our lives that are already overburdened. I don't think a 12-step or 16-step or 20-step skincare routine and, you know, the bleaching of the bum holes and all the things that we're supposed to keep up with all the time, I don't think we need to turn it into something that is a must. We've taken wellness, which was supposed to be a bit of self-care and a bit of self-pampering, and turned it into another way for women to judge themselves and judge each other. And no, you're not doing it right. And I mean, I don't know when I'm supposed to use toner or what it does. I can't be asked. I don't want to spend half an hour of my day doing that. So I think small touches, you know, of something that makes you feel good, but not something that is being turned into an imperative that you're supposed to do, so that no one should look at your godforsaken face according to these stupid beauty standards. So really, I just think wellness needs to stay away from diet culture, which it is creeping endlessly into, and wellness needs to actually be about longevity, not just a panic towards the standard that we're destroying our skin barriers for. There's too many products now. There's too much going on. I need to stop getting packages from TikTok. Release me. Release me from this hell. So that's it. I think just a bit less self-serious and a bit more about actually enjoying your life. There's nothing that's going to make you look or feel better than actually being a happy person, actually being someone with a full lived life. And so take the opportunities you can for joy, not fixing what misogyny taught you was broken.
And why do you think that women do tear each other down over how they look?
Because we were taught to, right? We were taught there's only space for one. We were taught there's a scarcity mindset. And so we don't know that multiples are allowed to exist of the same thing. We have lots of lovely men who all look quite similar and do similar things, and we don't sit there matching them up against each other. We rarely do that with rappers, for example, but when one female rapper comes up, immediately she's pitted against all the other female rappers. I think that's really depressing, and we see that with actresses. We see that in every industry. You see it in offices. You see it at school, this queen bee mentality. I think it's very depressing. I think we need to cut it out. I think it's better than it used to be, but I think it's become more insidious and well hidden. I think it's really weird, for example, that when we don't like a male celebrity, we just don't learn anything about him, and we don't know his name, and we never learn his name. But when we don't like a woman, we feel insecure about why we don't like this woman, so we must learn every single thing about her and every tweet she's ever made since she was 12 years old, and we need to justify our dislike of her. We have, in all men and women, have some sort of ingrained misogyny and ultimate meanness inside of them, and it is our responsibility to learn how to protect ourselves, because when you protect each other, you protect yourself. When you don't set unrealistic standards for another woman, you don't set them for yourselves. When you give women the grace and the space to change, you give that back to yourself. And so I think it's very important to recognize that everything comes back around. And in order to have a world and a society in which we feel freer as human beings, we have got to become a little bit less judgmental and sanctimonious. And given that I was Miss Sanctimonious 2019, and I am now reformed, I feel confident in telling you that it is the happiest and healthiest way to be. I've never been happier, healthier, or felt more sane, and it is because I have become a more forgiving person of others and therefore of myself. I'm no longer in that prison.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jameela Jamil.
Thank you.